Hi gang, it's just me, Mr. Bertram here. I'm ready to talk about Act 1, Scene 2 with you. I don't want to take up much time. You don't need another talking head telling you what to think about stuff, but just in case you need some help, I want to give you the highlights of this. Now, we are going to see Act 1, Scene 2 unfold at a stateroom in the castle. The people at McDougal Little, who have published this copy of your textbook, they will be happy to know that we're using this, and the page number would be 21. Act 1, Scene 2, line 1 begins with the King of Denmark, Claudius, not King Hamlet. King Claudius says, "Though yet of Hamlet, our dear brother's death, the memory be green, and that it us befitted to bear our hearts in grief, and our whole kingdom to be contracted in one brow of woe." I love that image because he's not only describing what does your forehead literally do when you're sad, it scrunches up, all the muscles contract, but he kind of describes all of Denmark has been brought together, like literally in this room we are brought together today to mourn. Though our brother's memory be green or fresh, new, right, he was recently passed, I'm here to make an announcement. And that announcement is that this is a coronation. Think about that root word, corona. It is a crown. That's why when you go to the coronation dance, they usually crown somebody. He says, this is a coronation for me, the king. And you might be wondering, why is Prince Hamlet not the king yet? He doesn't address this. You and I should be wondering this on our own. Therefore, our sometime sister, now our queen, the imperial jointress to this warlike state, she has bestowed it upon him instead of giving that power down the line of succession to Hamlet. So pretty curious behavior already. Line 10, we have, as 'twere with a defeated joy, with an auspicious and a dropping eye, with mirth in funeral and dirge in marriage, in equal scale, weighing delight and dole, have taken her to wife. But defeated joy, auspicious and dropping eye, with a mirth in funeral. Mirth is a happy word. Mirth is like merriment, right? Mirthful. Mirth in funeral, so I got a positively connotative word and a negatively connotative word, matched with dirge in marriage. Now, a dirge is the kind of music that you might hear in a funeral. So dirge in marriage. We are here with mirth in funeral, dirge in marriage. I got these happy sads and these sad happies, these paradoxical impossibilities. Now, what follows is what you know. Young Fortinbras, holding a weak supposal of our worth, or thinking by our late dear brother's death our state to be just joint and out of frame, colleagued with his dream of his advantage, he hath not failed to pester us with message. So we had a little truce going on with the King of Norway, as we learned about in Act 1, Scene 1, right? So we're always scaffolding that information. Here, Claudius confirms that yes, Norway has not failed to pester us with message. And so we are sending Voltimand and Cornelius, line 34 brings their names into this. Voltimand and Cornelius are being sent off to Norway with letters that say, hey, back up. All your treasure, all your land, we're keeping it. Sorry. Voltimand and Cornelius take their letter, and by line 40, they're out the door. And now, Laertes, what is it with you? You told us of some suit. What is it, Laertes? Notice how on page 23, Laertes, you are more native. The head is not more native to the heart, the hand, no more native to the mouth than you are to the very throne of Denmark. He says, whatever you want, Laertes, just ask for it. Your wish is my command. He says, your leave and favor to return to France, my dread lord, to France, from whence, though willingly I came to Denmark to show my duty in your coronation, yet now, I must confess, that duty done, my thoughts and wishes bend again toward France, and bow them to your gracious leave and pardon. But notice how he's kind of sucking up to Claudius there. He knows how to grease those gears. He says, I came home to show my duty in your coronation. This is also maybe like a memorial service for old King Hamlet. And he's going to say, well, do you have your father's leave? What says Polonius? And Polonius basically says, yep, he's good to go. But Polonius actually says, and I do beseech you, give him leave to go. And so the king says, take the fair arrow, Laertes. Notice how Laertes gets all that kind treatment. Wonder what the relationship between Laertes and Claudius is, if there even is one. Maybe it's enough that it's Laertes is Polonius's kid. But now, my cousin, Hamlet, and my son. Now, line 64, he calls Hamlet his cousin and his son. Later, he will call him kin, but we should talk about how those words are more interchangeable in Shakespeare's time than in our time. It's not like he's his uncle and his cousin, because that would be weird. He's just saying, we're family, we're blood. Hamlet, please, talk to your uncle father. Hamlet's first line in Act 1, Scene 2, Hamlet's first line in the entire play, titled Hamlet, is spoken to himself. It's a secret. Hamlet doesn't want other people to hear what it is he's saying. This is a little tiny soliloquy, right? It's one line. It's spoken to himself for the benefit of the audience. The other people in the room presumably do not hear Hamlet say this snarky thing that Hamlet responds with. The king, he says, "Now, Hamlet, my cousin, my son." Hamlet says to himself, "Little more than kin and less than kind." In other words, we are barely family, and we are not cool. We are not friends, you and I. But alas, the king, he says, "How is it that the clouds still hang on you?" In other words, why is this depression still consuming you, Hamlet? And Hamlet responds, "Not so, my lord. I find I am too much in the sun. I'm a little too overexposed right now." Because think about what's going on. We've just dealt with this issue of state business. We've talked about nuptials. We've talked about coronation. We talked briefly about our brother. And now we spent a good chunk of time talking about Norway and what we're going to do about them. Laertes, he gets to go to France to finish school. And Hamlet, what's the matter with you, Hamlet? Why are you so sad? Keep in mind, there is still a live studio audience sitting in the room. We are in a great hall in the castle of Elsinore in Denmark. There's dignitaries, there's out-of-towners, there's important people here. And Hamlet, how is it that the clouds still hang on you? Hamlet says, "Not so, my lord. I am too much in the sun." S-U-N, but of course a little homophone with the O might be appropriate to keep in mind. Hamlet says, "Not so, my lord. I am too much in the sun." The queen, Gertrude, the queen, she says, "Good Hamlet, cast thy nighted color off." Nighted spelled with no K, so cast off thy dark colors, she says. It's mourning, yeah? M-O-U-R. We are mourning, we're grieving something. "And let thine eye look like a friend on Denmark. Do not forever with thy veiled lids seek for thy father in the dust. Thou knowest 'tis common, all that lives must die, passing through nature into eternity." Hamlet says, "Aye, madam, it is common." He says, "Ma'am, it is common." She says, "Well, if that's so, then why seems it so particular with thee?" And Hamlet goes on one of many tiny rants that I just love. Hamlet says, "Seems, madam, nay, I know not seems, I am. 'Tis not alone my inky cloak, good mother, nor customary suits of solemn black, nor windy suspiration of forced breath, nor the fruitful river in the eye, nor the dejected havior of the visage, together with all forms, moods, shapes of grief, they can denote me truly. Those indeed seem for their actions that a man might play. But I have that within which passes show, these but the trappings and suits of woe." He says, "Seems, madam? No. I don't seem sad. I am the very definition of sad." Top of page 27, line 83, he says, "These are the words that denote me truly. These define who I am. These indeed seem, for they are parts that a man could play on stage, but do not take this for play acting. I am the sad." He says, "I have that within which passes show, these but the trappings and suits of woe." Is that a rhyming couplet you just got hit with? Booyah! Every now and then, Shakespeare's going to throw you a rhyming couplet, just like he did in those sonnets, to make sure that you're paying attention. King says, "'Tis sweet and commendable in your nature, Hamlet, to give these mourning duties to your father. But you must know that your father lost a father." Presumably, wouldn't that also probably be Claudius's father? But, okay. To give these morning duties to your father, you must know your father lost a father. That father lost his, and the survivor bound in filial obligation for some term to do obsequious sorrow. He says, you're being a good son by grieving. But, to persevere in obstinate condolement is a course of impious stubbornness. Stubbornness. 'Tis unmanly grief. Whoa. So the king basically attacks Hamlet, says your grief is not manly. You need to suck it up. Your emotions are not attractive. You are not being the exemplary thing that we might hope to someday have as a king here in Denmark. You need to shape up, Hamlet. He continues. He says, it is a fault to heaven. It is a fault against the dead. It's a fault to nature, to reason most absurd, whose common theme, there's that word again, common, whose common theme is death of fathers, and who still hath cried from this first corpse till he that has died today. This must be so. We pray you, throw to earth this unprevailing woe. So get over this unproductive sadness. And think of us. Royal we, royal us. Think of us as a father. For let the world take note that you are the most immediate to our throne. In other words, you're next in line. And with no less nobility of love than that which dearest father bears his son, do I impart toward you. For your intent in going back to school in Wittenberg, it is most retrograde to our desire, and we beseech you, bend you to remain here in the cheer and comfort of our eye. Why might we want Hamlet to stay put? Stay in the comfort of our eye. Stay in the safety of those who can keep an eye on you, Hamlet. But yeah, totally attacking the kid in front of, I don't know, anybody who got a ticket to the function. The queen, she says, let not thy mother lose thy prayers, Hamlet. I pray thee, stay with us. Go not to Wittenberg. Hamlet says, I shall, in all my best, obey you, madam. In other words, he says, I'll try. And I love that. What is that? What is that? She says, don't go back to Wittenberg. He says, well, I'll see what I can do. You're either going back to Germany or you're not going back to Germany. There is no try, Master Yoda. And so Hamlet kind of blows off his mother's request with a blow-off answer. And the king only hears what the king wants to hear. Why, 'tis a fair and loving reply. Be as ourself in Denmark. So, oh, yep, did you hear that? He agreed. All right, good. Kid's staying at home. Moving on. Madam, come, this gentle and unafforded court of Hamlet sits smiling to my heart. He says, we're going to go next door and have a party. Everybody ready? Bottles up! Because this is a wedding reception, and you know how people get out of hand at wedding receptions. So I'm going to draw all of that to a close right there. But where we left off today would be page 29, roundabout line 129, 130. Everybody is leaving the Great Hall at Castle Elsinore to go into the adjoining chamber. Maybe they're dancing, maybe they're eating, maybe there's going to be like a show of some kind to celebrate everything that's going on so far today. Don't know exactly how long King Hamlet has been out of the picture, but we will find out in our next video when Hamlet gives his first soliloquy. So, yeah, see you then. Bye.